My name is Chitra Goswami and this video is for the summary of lesson number 75, and the name of the lesson is English Questions Part 1. And the objective of the lesson is that students will be able to correctly form the sentences of present tense yes and no questions, and the students are going to practice their vocabulary or their fluency by using different discussions or games. Sentences with the students. The first sentence is no, the car is not blue, and the second sentence is yes, she is my sister. And later you are going to conduct a TPS activity, and the question for the TPS is these sentences are the answers, what were the questions? For the second step, you are going to erase the previous sentences from the board and you are going to write some new sentences. The first sentence is a question, is it, and the other two sentences are answers, yes it is and no it is not. These sentences are just formats on how the students are going to make yes or no sentences. Now you're going to call on one student from the class and you're going to hand that student a note card that has a name of a vegetable or fruit written in it, and the student does not have to share the name with the class. Now we have to ask questions to find out what it is, and let's see how many guesses does it take you to find out the food item. The facilitator is going to call on students to ask questions until they correctly guess which food item it is, and then if the game is successful you can call on 2 or 3 more volunteers to continue the game. For the next step, the students will be divided in pairs and they can either play 20 questions with their partner or they can do self-guided learning session for the next 10 minutes. Now for the energizer of the lesson, you can choose any energizer of your choice or the students can choose their favorite energizer and you can play that. The next part of the lesson is Digital Learning Zoom Part 1, and the objective of the lesson is that students are going to learn the purpose of Zoom and how it is used in professional settings, and they are going to learn all the skills related to Zoom. For starting this part of the lesson, you are going to ask 2 questions from the students. The first question is, have you ever heard about Zoom? And the second question is, what are some times in our life that we use video calls? After the students have shared their responses, you are going to explain more about Zoom as given in the FRP. Second step, you are going to instruct the students to watch the AV of the lesson, and then you are also going to tell that in this video there are 3 ways that are shown to join any Zoom meeting, and it is very important to learn all these 3 ways. However, they have to focus more on the third way, which is by joining with a meeting ID, because this is what we are going to use in our class. For the next step, you are going to tell the students that when you join any Zoom meeting, you will be asked to enter your name. Now you are going to ask that because Zoom is often used for professional settings such as meetings or interviews, what should you put your name for the meeting? We are going to explain that it is better to use your first name and your last name for any Zoom meeting, and the students can avoid using their nickname or any funny names for the Zoom meetings. Now you are going to start the meeting on your laptop and you are going to instruct the students to join the meeting. Now they can join the meeting by opening the Chrome browser and typing zoom.us, or they can also think about what they watched in the video to join the meeting. For joining the meeting, they have to click on the join button and they have to enter the meeting ID that is written on the board. When the meeting starts, they have to join with computer audio. After that, you are going to ask 2 questions from the students. The first question is, where is the mute button? And the second question is, why might it be useful to use the mute button? After the students are done sharing their responses, you can also explain that it is more polite to mute yourself when you are not talking in the meeting, as the other people are able to hear your background noises or sounds of you sneezing or coughing or any noise that is not wanted in the meeting. Next activity, the students are going to practice muting and unmuting themselves on the Zoom meeting, and they can also practice speaking clearly while in the Zoom meeting, and they have to treat it like a job interview or a meeting so that they can make eye contact and have a proper body posture and speak clearly. Step is a would you rather activity. So if the students are very fluent with using Zoom, you can play this activity, and if the students are still overwhelmed by using Zoom, you can keep this activity for some other day. So for playing this activity, you are going to ask a question in the form of would you rather. and then The students who want to answer that question can raise their hand and share their responses. You can try to make the questions very interesting, and you can also try to ensure that equal participation is being done in the classroom. Now we are going to instruct the students to leave the Zoom meeting, and you are going to ask 2 questions from the students. The first question is, what was successful about our first Zoom session? And the second question is, what was challenging or where did you find yourself struggling? Lastly, you are going to conduct the wrap-up session in the form of a stand-up and sit-down activity, and you are going to acknowledge the students for what they did well during the session, and then you can conduct the pledge.